babe. I'm live, so be mindful. Good evening, everyone. This is Karen.
And this is Delasber. How is everyone doing tonight?
And we will be talking about, are you missing your there because you won't stay in your here? I think that's a great topic. I think it's great because it takes some thinking about. Um I think it's it's a good question. I mean, I've never really thought about it that way. Have you thought about it at all, Delasper? And anybody out there listening, have you thought about it? I mean, that's a question that will make you ponder. It's not something you can answer right away. You have to really think and put some thought into that. It's not a quick answer to that.
Honestly, Karen, until you sent me the video to watch, I was like, hmm. Then when I watched the video, I was like, this is actually something that we might be able to talk about because we're always looking in the future at how we're going to get stuff done. How we're
Mm-hmm.
going to make this work? How we're going to make this work? How we're going to make this work? And could it be that we're messing up our there because we can't just sit here and enjoy what we're in right now? I don't
Mm.
know. I think that's a great topic actually. You guys, I see two people are watching. Please say hi so they will know who you are. We'd love to interact with you. And please let us know, are you missing your there because you won't stay in your here? Let us know what you think about that. Karen, how could how could a person be missing something they don't have in the first place?
I mean, well, here's the thing. You don't know that you don't have it. You're assuming you don't have it because you're so focused on people have dreams, right? And they dream, oh, I'm going to have this big house. I'm going to have this big this. I'm going to have this big that. And they working towards it, not realizing that you have to focus. If you don't focus on what you're doing right now, you won't be able to achieve what you have ahead of you. So that's why it's important to make the proper decisions now and do the proper things now while you are here. But if you continue to think about there, you can't focus on two things. You have to put your focus to one specific thing. But this, as I think about what the question is that we're asking everyone, as I continue to think about it even more, it is so true that it's impossible to focus on two things at once. You have to focus on one thing. So if I'm focused, if I know that this is where vision board would come in like perfectly. Like you put up what you want your there to be, right? Because you have that in game, you have that in mind, but you know that you're there, and so then you know it's there already. You put it out there, so now you can focus on the here because the here's whole purpose is to get you there. So you don't have to say, "Oh, I'm doing this to do that. I'm doing this," because you already set it up. I'm doing this, so you can wake up in the morning and look at your vision board and say, okay, that's where I'm going. That's my there. And then you continue to move in your purpose here so that there can come to fruition. Does that make
Mm,
sense?
it really does. It really does. And I'm sitting here now, actually, I'm kind of Googling some stuff, and I'm sitting here thinking about my mind went back to when I was a little girl. And
Mm-hmm.
my daddy used to sing this song. For people who don't know, my daddy was a Baptist preacher. And, most Baptist preachers, whether they can sing or not, they would sing after their sermons. Now, my daddy just happened to be one of the ones that was blessed that could actually sing. but he used to sing this song about the birds and God taking care of the birds. And I think it was like, oh gosh, I think the name of the song was My Heavenly Father Watches Over Me, but I'm not sure, so don't quote me on that one. But I think that's the name of the song. And if you know what it is, please put it down in the chat for me. But I was listening to you and I was thinking about that. And I was like, you know what? Let me find that verse because this says it so eloquently to me. It says, look at the birds of the air. They neither sow nor reap nor gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not of more value than they? And I just had to stop and think and go, I'm sitting here and I'm really I'm telling off on myself, y'all. I'm being very open and honest above board with you. I'm very, very, very bad about this. I'm always trying to figure out how I'm gonna get something that I need later in life. I'm always trying to figure out what can I do to make sure that this happens or okay, I got to pay this so in order to get this, I got to do this and this and this and this and I got to make sure I have this and what if I'm not going to have this and my mind is always working and I'm never really stopping to enjoy the here and now, what I have right now, because I'm always so busy trying to achieve that next level, trying to get to the next point in life, trying to make that next step. And I wonder, because that topic really struck me, am I messing up my next? Because I can't just sit here and say, okay, God, I'm going to work with what you've given me right here. I'm going to work with this. Now, I'm not just going to sit down and do nothing. I'm going
Right.
to work with what you've given me, but I'm not going to focus on what I want. I'm going to let you take me where you want me to go. And you guys, I know we may not all be religious, we may not all be whatever, but even whatever your higher power is, I don't care who it is.
Mm,
I don't care what it is, whatever it is that makes you want to achieve more and more in life.
mhm.
Are you taking the time to stop and just love what you have at the moment and take care of what you have in the moment? And that has hit me hard because I'm not good at that. Because I've grown up all my life trying to be better and not better than anybody else, but better than my last step. I need my next step to be better than my last step. I need my next job to be better than my last job.
Mhm.
And when I would try to do something and I could not do it, even though I was a teacher and I taught children, Father, forgive me. I taught children, if at first you don't succeed, try again, try again, try
Yeah.
again. But Delasper never did. If Delasper
Mhm.
tried something, it was
Okay.
because Delasper knew she could do it and she could do it well. If she tried and she did not succeed, you could almost bet that Delasper was not going to try again because Delasper did not handle failure well at all. And I'm learning and I'm growing and working this business with Amory's Journey is teaching me that I'm gonna fail a lot. just just out of pure whew, weariness, but I can't stop going. And yesterday was a day when I was depleted and I felt like nothing was going right and nothing I did was working. And then you know what happened last night. And I was like, okay. And all I could think of last night was the darkest moment is just before day. The darkest hour is just before day. Just when you think that you can't do anything else, you can't get any lower, nothing can go right. That's when that light brightens and you go, wow, is that what I was looking
Yeah.
for? That's even more than I could ever imagine. And that's, I think, where we learn to Sit in where we are. Sit in the here. Listen. And
Mm-hmm.
when we sit quietly and we listen, we hear, I don't know if you want to say it's that still soft voice, that loud boom, that I don't know what it is for you, but you hear something that says, okay, move now. And what I've had to learn is until I hear that voice say, move now, I stay where I am. Because when I make that move before I'm told to,
Mm-hmm.
that ground is not sturdy and this
Mm-hmm.
big tail falls through. So I have learned that I'm going to stand exactly where I'm told to stand. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
going to move to the left. I'm not going to move to the right. I'm going to stand right here until I hear that voice tell me to move now. And when that voice says move now, then and only then do I move. So what do you guys feel about that? I want to hear from the comments in our beautiful audience of two. We're so glad to have you. And Karen, I want to know what you feel about that because I know that in your job you have to move at certain times. So how do you handle that staying in the here so that you can see you're there?
Well, um, when it comes to work, I mean, my moving there is not if I don't move properly, it can affect my there, right? So I have to make sure that I'm grounded here
Hmm.
and that I move in integrity. I'm making sure that, I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to be doing, not because it's policy, but because it's the right thing to do. I know that me nurturing my here is going to flourish my there. I have to,
Mm.
I'm nurturing my here so I can flourish my there. And it may sound crazy, but I have to be able to do what I do and do it in love. If I can't do it in love, then I really am not working my purpose properly. And it won't work out. Like you said, the failure and all this other stuff, you have to definitely know that failure is a part of success. Failure is a part of success. There's some people that won't even have a conversation with you, at least the millionaires, if you haven't failed in the company 2 or 3 times because now they know you've learned and you won't repeat the same things over and over. That's why you've sat back, you saw the failure, you learned from the failure, and you came back and renamed the company something different and moved in a different direction. You didn't go with the same old things. You learned from it. So for me, making sure that I focus and nourish my here. I know if this is going right, that my there is going to be just very well paved and it's going to be flourished. I have to do it right here in order to flourish my there. And it's just I don't want to say it's the right thing to do because I pretty much say that every night. But that's just how I operate. Like, because it's very important for me to be able to put my head down on the pillow to sleep. I have to have a clear conscience when I go to bed. No matter how late it is, no matter how early it is. I have to be able to do that. If I can't do that, then something's wrong. A night can be long. You think you only have 5 hours, but a toss and turn 5 hours, you feel like you didn't sleep for 12.
Exactly.
So it is very much important to just, it's important to do definitely like to focus on the here. I mean, another way you can look at it is it's hard to look in your rearview mirror and drive. You're looking at the past, right? But the you're looking at the past. The past is not going to help you, right? So they always say you don't leave the past in the past. So in order to make sure that that past doesn't repeat itself, you have to flourish the here. You have to work on the here. Because if you don't, you're going right back. So if you're looking at the rearview mirror because you want to see what you're going back to, then that's on you. But if you don't like what you had and you want to move forward, you focus, you see what you did, you don't make the same mistake, you focus on the here, and then you make sure after once you've made that mistake, you have a goal that you set. So it's even if for me, it's a vision board because when you can see things visually, you put it out there. It just works different, and in the world of attraction, it works differently in the world of attraction. So it's important that you don't look in the rearview mirror because it's the past. You cannot change it. You learn from it. You're supposed to learn from it. So whatever you learn, you're like, okay, I'm gonna put it here, and I'm gonna nurture this here. And then that nurturing of that here will definitely flourish you there because you're like, okay, because I failed, I learned from my failure. I changed it up. I did it differently because you can't get different results if you do the same thing. So you failed, you move differently now, right? You learn from it. So now oh no, I can't use that color. Oh no, I can't bake that way. I can't do that. And you just tweak it for whatever it is. And then that helps you because once you tweak it and it's working and it's something that you're supposed to be doing, it works. And the there that you thought was going to take 10 years can come in 5 or 3 because you're working your purpose and you're doing it the right way. You're not focusing on so much on the there that you can't work the here because there's no there without here. You cannot get there until you work here. There's no way you can get there until you work here. It's just not going to happen. Now, you can try to skip some steps, it ain't going to work. It's just not going to work. It's not going to work.
So, do you think, and this is for you guys in our audience as well, do you think that a lot of us, or even, many of us, just one or two of us actually, are focusing so much on our there that we are skewing our there because we're not doing the work in the here? Do you think that we could? I'm trying to change the way I said that. Do you think that we could possibly be making our there less than
Mm.
because we're not doing the work in the here? If that makes sense, you guys. If that doesn't make sense, please tell me in the chat because I'm trying to work that in my brain and it's kind of fried right now. But Karen, I hope you understood what I was trying to say.
I understand what you're saying. It
Okay.
makes sense. It makes sense because you can fudge you're there. You can fudge it, and not in a good way. Some people do focus on. I mean, it's just a part of life. It's a part of growth. But what do you guys think? Do you think is you know? Do you think it's important to only focus on the there and figure out the here, or do you think it's important to stay grounded in your here so your there can actually come to fruition? Let us know in the
Mm,
chat. What
that,
you feeling.
that's a serious question. That's that's a serious question, and I find myself now, especially in this great month of February, thinking that and trying to see, okay, with I'm just going to go there with our race relations. How do we stay in the here and not remember and not acknowledge and not look back in our rearview mirror to see all the things that happened so that we know we don't need to do this in the here? Because if we do this in the here, we're going to have a messed up there. Uh, and also be able to say, okay, we don't want to do this in the here because we know it was wrong, but we want to acknowledge that it was done. But now that we acknowledge that it's done and we are accepting that, and I'm just going to be whatever, the people that are living here right now are not the people that did this. So let us say, okay, we had nothing to do with this. Let's start from this moment on
Mhm.
and let's make our there be better by being in the here and now and seeing people as equals.
Mhm.
And then we can let our past go, because I think until we accept and acknowledge and just, I guess the word really is acknowledge that this truly happened, we're not going to ever be able to be in the here, because we're in the here in two different places instead of in the here. So, how do you get us to be in the here and not be in the here?
Mm.
What do you think about that?
Stuck in the space. You mean stuck in that space and time? Okay. I mean, it's a very good question. But people hold on to things and feel that they're honoring grandfathers and grand whoever that said that they should do this A, B, C, or D, which is not necessarily what you were cut, what your parents teach you now, right? So, if for me, when I think about the fact that we're in Black History Month, you can think about the ancestors and how they fought and how they, you know, they didn't know what their there was going to be because they was fighting here at that point in time. But it was their fighting there and they're here because that was their here, that was their moment, right? It was all the fighting that they did to get us to where we are now. And many people may not think that we are far, but we are further than what we were. Is it a day of celebration because of where we are? Could be for some. Some people still feel we need more. But you know, if you take their spirit and you take it and you know what it was about and why they did what they did, and they're here, it would speak volumes now. So you wouldn't be stuck in that time. You would learn from that time because that was a learning process. That they were learning on the job, right? They were learning on the job. There were a lot of lives lost, but they were learning on the job. So I mean, but they were taking care of their here. That was their here at that time, and they were protecting their hair because they knew they wanted to be better for us. They knew they wanted it to be better for us because when I listen to the way they spoke back then, they always speak as if they know it's going to be over for them and that they want to prepare a place. You know how they say prepare a place?
Mhm.
They want to have a place prepared for us so we can live a better life. So I mean,
So, the one thing that keeps playing in my head right now is they understood the assignment more so, I think, than we do. They
yes.
understood the assignment. They knew that the here was what was important, because the here was going to make the there. What they did in the here was going to determine what happened in the there. And they understood that assignment.
All right.
My question is, do we understand the assignment? I want to know from y'all, do we understand the assignment? And I'm asking you that question, but I'm also asking myself. So don't think I'm just throwing it out there. And y'all, this is at Delasber as well. Do I truly understand the assignment? I'm not really sure that I do. What about you, Karen?
I mean, it depends on what your goal is. It depends on which assignment you were given. Um, I mean, it really depends on what you're trying to achieve. Again, what's the end game? What's the end game? It's about the end game. What is the end game?
Exactly. And I'm not being, and I probably should not even say this, but I'm not being political when I say this. But during the uh, Trump administration, it was Make America Great Again. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember saying, let's just make America great. Because I don't really get the again part. I just want America to be great. I want America to be
Mm-hmm.
great. And I think for me in my world, that's the assignment. Everything that I do in my life
Mm-hmm.
leads to America being great. And in my world, it just happens to be the autism world. You know, it's, I want my autistic friends, my families that are struggling with autism, I want them to be great. So every step that I make on this journey is toward them
Mm-hmm.
being great. And I think as if we as human beings understand that as our assignment for whatever world it is most definitely, let's just make the world great. Anything that we can do, anything that we can give, anything that we can be that helps build a better world. And, I know it's crazy for me to think there's not going to be any killing, there's not going to be any stealing, there's not going to be any, pain, anguish. I know that. But I also know that it doesn't have to be as much as it is right now. If we would just stand up and stick to the assignment and stop going off on our own little tangents. I'm just sorry. That's the way I feel, y'all. If we would just stick to the assignment and do what we know we need to do, worry
Easier said,
about our here.
easier said than done. No, that's the problem. Easier said than done.
So maybe we need to find somebody who can make a class, who can teach us how to do that. Just, is there anybody out there that could create a class for us that would teach us how to stick to the assignment and do everything we can to make the world a more pleasant place to live in?
That's a good question. I mean, very good question. Very, very, very good question.
I'm putting it out there. If anybody knows somebody, please hit me up. I'll gladly help you. I'll help you with the tech part of it, at least, But I want us to stop and think, if we're not sitting in our here and working on our here, we don't know what our there is, because our there could be so much greater than we could even imagine
Mm-hmm.
if we weren't so busy trying to work our there instead of working our here. And that's all I have to say. But what do you have to say, Karen?
I agree. I agree. I I 1000% agree. And the question people are pondering. They're not saying anything because they're pondering it. They have to think about, you know, am I nurturing my hair correctly? That's important, right? What you do now affects your future. That's basically what it means. What you do now affects your future. That's what it means in a nutshell. So
Exactly. So, do you have any last words?
you hey, nurture your hair so you can flourish in your there. That's all I have to
Wow.
say.
And what I have to say is, and I'm going to add to what Karen said, Know the assignment, accept the assignment, and do the assignment. Your here is your assignment. Your there is not. That's his assignment. Our assignment is our here. What are you doing right now? What are you doing this very minute? That's the assignment you have. Your assignment doesn't have anything to do with your there. And when you realize that, I think that's the key.
Mm-hmm.
At least I think that's the key for me. I had to realize that my assignment was my here and now. And it's
Mm-hmm.
not my job to worry about my there because I don't even know what the there is. You all, it's been wonderful spending this last 31 minutes with you. I hope that you enjoyed us. I hope that you're thinking about what we asked you about. And I hope that if you're catching this on the replay, you'll do a hashtag replay and you'll answer our questions. If you listen to us, I hope that you'll come back in and put your answers to our questions in because we are interested in hearing what you have to say.
Absolutely.
I want to know what your now is. I'm interested. So tell me, what's your now that you have to nurture to get to your there? And I'm done.
Yes, we are.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. Thank you for spending time with us. We truly appreciate it. And we love you. And there's nothing you can do about it. And guess what? We'll be back here tomorrow night. So we'll see y'all then.
Yep. Love you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.